Good morning. Good morning, Jen. Good morning, Kara. I see you. We're going to share this out on the TikToks here. We're going to be talking about fun stuff today. Good morning, good morning. So I have no special guest today, which was on purpose. So I want to talk about, I have a specific thing we want to talk about. I want to talk about the song by Alex Warren just came out on Friday called Bloodlines, playing it right now in the background. It really got me thinking about how, and I know we've talked about this in the past before, but I really want to kind of deep dive a little bit further into it about how, we carry the trauma of our family, we carry but do we have to let it define us? It can shape us, but do we have to let it define us? So I thought we'd talk about that today. And I really want to do some readings. I think I just want to jump in and I want to do some readings today for people. I definitely won't do that until we get enough people in the room, get taps up, get the likes up. So I'm going to this out a little bit. So that way YouTube doesn't lose its mind and act like and try to shut me down. Now, how many of you guys have heard of the artist I'm talking about, Alex Warren? He sings Ordinary. It's a popular song. Well, on Book Talk, it's really popular. How many of you heard of, this is the song, actually. We'll just play it briefly. I'm actually going to go to his concert. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, that's okay if you can't join in today. Totally get it. And apparently we're going to have a hard time being on Instagram too. Interesting. It's going to be one of those weird days. Okay, so let's tap the screen, share everything out, everybody. I've got a whole 4 people watching between all the platforms. What's happening over here? Hi, Lisa. Nice to meet you. Hi, Amy. I'm fixing Instagram because apparently it's having issues. I wonder if I'm having issues. I wonder if it's on my end. If yes, he's having issues. I'm going to restart the Instagram. So bizarre. No idea what's going on. Oh, look, we have 10 people now. All right, so I thought we'd do some readings, thought we'd talk about bloodlines. Looks like Instagram's not going to work today. Maybe. Let's see what's happening here. Good morning, Cindy. I thought of you yesterday. All right, let's see. It looks like we're back on with Instagram. All right. How's everybody doing? What are we up to? What are we drinking? Spirit signs and sips. What are we drinking? I'm feeling a little discombobulated today. Wonder what the deal is. I got my favorite flavor right now, the watermelon and watermelon lemonade. Well, give me a chance. We got to hang on, Lisa. We're gonna jump. We're gonna ease into that. We're gonna talk about some stuff first. So we're talking about the song Bloodlines that Alex Warren just came out with on Friday. And I really love that song, especially considering I do past life regression and we do a lot of past life healing work. So good morning, Michelle. Good morning, friends. Hi, Eileen. Good to see you. So, I do a lot of past life work, right? And so when this Bloodlines came out, what I found with past life regression work and hypnosis is, good morning, Shell, is a lot of our energy that we bring into this life isn't even ours. Either we're taking it on externally from other people. We are carrying it over from a past life. Hi, John, I see you. Good to see you. We are carrying that from our parents. Okay, whether that is through the actual DNA or the spiritual DNA. So a lot of the anxiety or energies that we carry never even originated from us. We didn't even generate it. It's not even ours, but we tend to carry it anyway. And how many times have you had this thought about yourself? Not how many times, we all have it, right? We have this belief system about ourselves, right? And these tapes run in our mind and we believe these things about ourselves. But have you ever really thought to yourself, wait, did I come up with that idea or did someone else put that on me? Or is it a belief system that, my family had? So this is why I believe it. And if we break away from that belief system, are we dishonoring our family somehow? If we are different, if we choose to be different, like if I decided, I'm not going to be anything like my mom. Am I insulting my mom? I hope not. I would hope that my mom would want me to be different, be unique, and make myself, right? But you'd be surprised how many people don't, especially like parents that want their kids to walk in their shoes and somehow justify their own existence through their children. I see that. Actually, I see that a lot in the dance industry too. Mentors that want their people to be just like them. It's not about the dancers anymore. It's about them. And I see that in parents too. So anyway, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about how that works, right, Jen? It's amazing how, and I don't think it's intentional. I really believe that's just that's the nature of being human. Like we come in with what we come in with, but does that have to define us going forward? So as a QHHT practitioner and BQH practitioner, I see that a lot. Like the QHHT appointments especially are like when we go into higher self conversations, there's a 2 to 3 hour conversation sometimes before the hypnosis ever happens. So we can deep dive and like, okay, what is your belief system? What do you feel like you believe about yourself? What kind of stuff tell me about your parents? Good morning, Tammy. What did you believe growing up about yourself? And how has that shaped who you are now? Thanks for being part of my team. So, I mean, there's a lot of layers here that we can choose to let those things that we came up with define us as adults, or we can do the work, therapy, do the work, deep diving and going, okay, what is actually true? And how's that shaping me? How do we how do we honor the past and still be in the present? Hi, Todd. Oh my gosh, it's late for you, my friend. What are you doing up? Um, how do you plan for the future without obsessing and living in the what ifs, right? And a lot of times it's our past thinking that will shape that fear of the future. Does that make sense? How that makes sense? Oh, thanks, Todd. I appreciate you. That was such a fun show. That was such a fun show. We've gotten such good feedback from that. Like I really have. I've gotten a lot of people said that they really enjoyed that show. And yeah, we have to bring Reverend Todd back on. That was a really fun show. We had so many things. We talked later about it and we were like, there's so many things we did not cover that we wanted to talk about. And we still had a very rich conversation. It was great. It was great. So anyway, looking at yourself and your own past, and then if you're talking about spirituality and the spiritual practices, how did that past shape you? How do you function with it right now? Good morning, Alicia. And how do you do better in the future? How do you utilize that to become a better practitioner? Does that make sense? And how do you move forward in your life? I mean, we all come in as humans and like do dumb things, right? Whether it's teenagers, as adults. And it's not about, are you going to make mistakes? Of course you're going to make mistakes. Or are you going to do dumb things, right? But how do you recognize, oh, I shouldn't have done that? And how do you prevent doing it again, right? So I don't know. I'm just fascinated by this whole, we don't have to be our bloodline. We don't have to be our family. We don't have to be our past. We don't have, whether that is present life or a past life. We just don't have to do that. Me too, Reverend Todd. So now how many of you that are watching are actually practicing spiritual practitioners or studying? You said this, I'm dealing with some of this right now. See, I'm telling you, and it was weird because I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to talk about today. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of popped into my head. So, if you're a practitioner, let me know. And let me know also if you've had to do that deep dive of work, or if you have done the deep dive, how does your personal past affect your practice? How's that affecting your practice? Does it help? Does it, like, I know for me, a lot of times my past will come up in readings, not because it's about me, but because spirit needs me to have a point of reference to get me to say certain things. But because I've done the healing work from that, it doesn't affect me. So even though I've had a somewhat traumatic past, and by no means am I saying my whole life has been, trauma, but there's a lot of key things, core memories, things that shaped me and shaped the decisions that I made, right? Isn't family important though, worth fighting for? I didn't say that we're not worth fighting for it, but you don't have to be everything that they told you to be. You don't have to walk in the same tracks that they set forward. Right? It's not about, and that was, and your point right there was exactly what I was talking about. There are people that refuse to change because somehow they'll dishonor their family. I can't even imagine as a parent, how self-centered of me to look at my children and go, well, you dishonor me if you don't do what I decided you should be doing. If you don't have the same belief systems I do, then somehow you are failing as a person because you're not, or I'm failing as a parent. So it's not about dishonor. And this is where we get hung up, I believe, as humans and growth. And okay, you know how there are people that were like, what will say, and this is not political discussion, this is a good example, that they will only vote Democrat or Republican, and they'll give you a list of why they would never ever change. But then you challenge them on that belief system, be like, because that's what I've always believed. They can't unwrap it and undo it. And why is that? Because if they do, then they're going to start seeing that there is another side to every story. There is room for compromise. There is a gray area. There is a middle ground. We don't have to function in extremes. But if they do that, then they're somehow dishonoring their family. And then they have to realize, oh, I might have been lied to, or I might have been delusional under, so that's just one example. That there are so many examples of in our lives that religion, oh my gosh, well, because I was told so. Why do you believe that? Because that's what they said. And I have faith. What does that even mean? Right? So you've got to learn how to think for yourself and be open for yourself, especially if you're a spiritual practitioner. Especially if you're a spiritual practitioner. Because if you're not open to see the flawed ways of your family and what you bring with you, there's no way you're going to be able to function in doing readings for people. It's hard to break from those thoughts when you first start waking up, but it's so free. Right, Alicia? Yes. And so Amy says she's learning, where she fits in with it all. But I find it fascinating because what a gift. Every day we wake up and we have an opportunity to do different and to grow and learn. What a gift. Right? And maybe that's my 53-year-old self talking. Maybe when I was in my 20s, I wouldn't have thought it was such a gift. I would have thought it was a pain. Right? But what a gift it is to have that ability to shift your thinking, to deep dive, to ask the hard questions, to ask, is that true? And why do I believe that? And you know what? Maybe in the end, you still believe that thing that you believed, but at least it wasn't because someone told you should do it, and there's no guilt that, oh, I should believe it because my parents told me I should. The signs from spirit are flowing after releasing karmic lessons. Ooh, I love that. Love that. And I'm telling you, that does make a difference. So in QHHT, I know I was talking about that when I work with clients, we do a lot of talking before we ever do the hypnosis. Just so I can know a bigger picture, not because I'm nosy. I'm not going to remember any of it either, but it does help me to have context. So I'll know what kind of questions to ask. Yes, the client has questions, but then when we're in that process of the past life regression and seeing the past lives, then I'll know what kind of questions to ask, right? To be the best advocate I can be. But also recognizing that by the time someone comes to me as a QHHT practitioner, if they're feeling lost or if they're feeling like they know something's connected to their past, whether it's past life or just their past in the current life, which, by the way, it's not uncommon for people to land in this lifetime. Did you all know that? When we do a past life regression, sometimes they land in their own childhood, in their current childhood, which is also important for me to know family background so I can recognize that. If they don't say it, then I can recognize that as a practitioner. That way I don't, fast forward to the day of their death. It might be awkward. Just throwing that out there. Not that none of that's written in stone necessarily, but what if it is? But then going to the higher self and saying, hey, what's the connections here? What kind of things are we working out? Is it karma? Is it a karmic thing that we're working out? Is it, hi, Nicole. Oh, I see Jen Singleton here too. Are we working out karmic stuff from a past life? Hi, friend. How are you? Good to see you. Oh, and I see Salty's in here too. I'm getting all my friends are coming in. Yay. You guys, hey, if you guys could do me a favor and make sure you're sharing out the live, that'd be really awesome. I appreciate it. Getting no traction today. Good morning, Roxanne. So we release that negativity. We release those karmic ties if necessary. Key, if necessary. But before we release those ties, I always ask, is it necessary for this lifetime to have this? Is this something that someone came in with intentionally? And if they say yes, they're like, okay, so how can we learn from it? Ah, thank you, Salty. That was cute. I love that. Thank you. How do we still learn the lessons without feeling the deep wounds? And yes, you can do that. You know you can do that, right? So if you go, okay, well, I was meant to come here and learn lessons with my mom. Maybe I did my mom wrong in a past life. Okay, whatever narrative you've convinced yourself of. Then how do we release that where you don't energetically feel it, but you can still learn the lesson? Like, believe it or not, you can read a book and learn a lesson versus just have to full on go in and you can learn about war in a book. You don't have to start a war or fight in a war to learn about war. Does that make sense? You can observe and learn from a place of openness and learning without being in the trenches of it. I'm glad you agree with that, Nicole. And this is where, and actually, yeah, so Nicole's also does hypnosis. And that's something that's you can, and when I go in as a QHHT practitioner, if I'm talking to your higher self, then I will say, okay, listen, I understand the need to learn, but can we do this from a place of learning, academic learning, brain learning, mind learning versus visceral learning? Sometimes I feel I'm an overthinker. I just keep looking to answers to questions, or there's always something more. And you know what? That's very legitimate, Amy. Sometimes we do overthink things, and then it becomes part of our narrative. Yes, people like to self-sabotage. They say they don't want to, but they do. And now I was queen of self-sabotage, like for many years, but I had no idea that's what I was doing. I had no idea that's what I was doing. And it just happens. But sometimes something like a QHHT, like a hypnosis session or regression, you'll be able to identify that. And once you identify it, then you can move on from it. Queen of self-punishment. Oh, me too. But think about the narrative. So Nicole, you and I are a similar age. And if you think about it, that's the narrative that we were brought up with. Think about it. Sometimes it's not even something that we just do because that's who we are. It's what we were raised to believe about ourselves and the narrative that was put on us. My kids are still so not Catholic anymore, but they both still deal with Catholic guilt in the way they respond to things, because that's how they were taught in school to respond to things. As a Gen Xer, I was told if you feel pretty, you are conceited. Right? I was also told if you're confident, you're a bitch. Period. Too confrontational, too much. Okay, I believed that about myself. Good morning, Regina. How are you? And so what is it that are we actually self-sabotaging because we're bad people or because we're hi Gigi or because that's what we like to do to ourselves? Or is that the narrative that was thrust upon us as children without even understanding where that came from? And I think as a spiritual practitioner, that's where it becomes extremely important because I had actually thought about going back to school to become to get a psychiatry or a psychology degree, just because I feel like the psychology classes I did take were not quite enough because what we deal with in spiritual practitioner as a spiritual practitioner and with QHHT and with, right, Alicia? And, I see Auntie Sean's in here too. Hi, friend. Hi, Annie. And, There are things that when people come to me and they are dealing with trauma, again, whether it's QHHT, psychic reading, mediumship reading, there are things that by the time they get to me, they're dealing with stuff, right? And when they put it on me, I have to have the wherewithal to disconnect from it and not emotionally engage in it, energetically engage in it. I have to disconnect from my past. The things that I've gone through cannot be part of their journey. Now, spirit will lead me sometimes to talk about my journey. Hi, Paula. Oh my gosh, Paula, I was thinking about you this morning. You popped into my head like 3 times. I was going to text you and then I had to come on my show. Okay. And anyway, if I were to allow all of my, hi, Heather, all of my emotions and my trauma and my past back, oh, cute. Thank you, Nicole. To integrate into that, I might be drawn to tell the stories. And I just had a client on Friday, actually, that that happened. Like she was put on my path so I could tell her my story. She didn't know my story, and I've known her for a long time. She didn't know the story, that she was going through exactly what oh, for fuck's sake, get out. Hang on, we're gonna mute. Bye-bye. Cool. Anyway, sorry I had to like handle that. I don't have any mods in here, I don't think, right now. Because Jesse's on a trip. Where can we find my story? Well, I haven't written a book yet. Okay, actually, in fairness, I have started the book. I've started the book. But there's things I have to like reconcile. Oh, hey, Regina. I didn't know you were still in here. You're fine. Normally, yes, he's on it, but she's not here today. Lost my train of thought. Oh, so anyway, if I'm in a reading, I can now come from a place of more of an academic sense. So I'll share my story. And I always say, listen, I promise you, this is not about me just talking about myself, but this is what you need to hear. You need to see how my stuff played out and how it all fit in. Because I'm telling you right now, I had psychics tell me for years, and some of you know this about me already. I had psychics tell me for years that I was going to get divorced and be married to somebody else. Like when my now husband and I were going through a lot of problems, right? And they're like, no, you're going to be married to somebody completely different. Well, you know what? We did go through hell and back. And he's a very different, I am married to a very different person now, even though it's the same person. We've been married 27 years, but he is not the same. He is not the same. It took work and it took me so I'm very, very, very careful, right, Nicole? I'm very careful about when people come to me for relationship readings. I never tell them, oh, girl, you need to da, 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 da. But I do have a story that helps. And again, it's not that it's not that I disclose all of the things. I know, Nicole, I know you don't. Girl, I know you don't. because you and I both know that there is no cut and dry how it plays out. Right? Because we all have free will and free choice. I could have followed that narrative from all those psychics. It can, thank you. It can ruin people because then you got someone who gets in their head, who has not processed their trauma, who's still going on their journey, dealing with stuff, maybe that doesn't have a therapist. They're looking to the psychic for answers, and they want to know what their future holds. So they, for whatever reason, well, as a practitioner, I know that my future is not set in stone, because what if I listened to every person, every psychic that told me I was going to get divorced? And I knew something was off from them telling me that. I just didn't know what that looked like. I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't know what it looked like. And so this is the message that I share with people when they come to me about relationships. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen. Oh, that's funny, Regina. But then you have to go, but also, what does it mean to work in a prison? What does the word prison mean exactly? Okay, no, no, I cannot. I cannot imagine you doing that. Who knows? Maybe when you're old, you start some psychic or mediumship ministry and you go work in prisons. I don't know. You'd be run over, right? So, I mean, so you have to be careful with the predictions that you get, right? But I'm straying from the point. My past created who I am today, right? But I don't have to live in that energy. Okay. For a long, long time, I was mad at my parents, like and my family for doing a lot of things, treating me a certain way or saying certain things. But now I look back and go, oh, well, they also have their own story, and their parents have their own story, and their parents, and I looked at my kids at one point recently, and I said, just so we're all aware, y'all had no chance. I had no chance. You had no chance. Therapy was inevitable if we we're going to break any cycles. Because as kids, we have no control over the narrative that is placed on us. And how does that shape us? And then here, fast forward, now we're trying to sort it all out with psychics and mediums and therapists. Right? So, I mean, I could have, I'm a lot like my dad, and he was not a good person. Like, and I look back, and there are times that I will intentionally go, if I run into someone I haven't seen in a long time, I will apologize to them, because I'll realize, oh my gosh, I was a lot like my dad when I was younger, a lot like my dad, and a very angry version of my angry mother, who had every right to be angry because of the situation she was put in. Glad you just sent it from my. Okay. Yeah, breaking cycles with the teen. It's so hard, especially when we of Gen X generation, Gen X boomers, even older millennials are super aware of, like, we can see it. We can see these patterns. And it's kind of like the train wreck that's happening that you can't look away from. You can't stop it. But you can, like, you try, but you don't know how. You don't know where the gears are. You don't know where the brakes are. You don't know where any of the stuff is to be able to make those changes. So it's all a Gen X, especially. Yes. Right, Gigi? It takes a long time. But then how can we then you look at your kids, like my youngest just turned 22 yesterday. My middle child turned 24 on Monday. Like, I see their thought patterns. I see the things that I shaped them to be. So, but I look at them and go, why do you think like that? Why are you so negative? Why are you so down on yourself about that? Oh, sorry, my fault, because of the narrative that I raised them with, or the belief system I had before. Wouldn't it be great if we could just not have kids until we're in our 50s and then we know better? Then we could just have kids after that. But instead, we're all trauma filled, having babies and like creating more cycles. And this is where I guess being a grandparent comes in, but still. It's like we have babies and raise more broken kids before we have a chance to even fix ourselves. Because that's the narrative that's placed on us. Right? My oldest will be 37 and my bonus baby's 15. Yeah, my oldest turns 33 this year. Right, Nicole? Yeah. So wouldn't it be great if we could just like not have babies until we're like healed? And then we go through like a whole generation of healing and then having babies older and healed. And then we can go back to having it when we're young because we haven't put all that trauma on that generation. That's my, I'm going to write to Spirit about that and see if they get on board with it. I think it's going to work out. So I'd be interested. I'd like to put a challenge out here. I would challenge you to, throughout the day, the rest of the day, to pay attention to your thoughts. Consciously pay attention to the things that just pop into your head, those narratives about yourself. And then when you go, oh, wait, oh, that wasn't very nice of me to say about myself in my mind. Where did that come from? And where did that come from? And where did that come from? So going back and tracing the bloodlines, right? So if you haven't listened to that song, by the way, by Alex Warren, you should. It's really good. It's called Bloodlines. It's a collab with Jelly Roll, but it's really good. You can find it on all the platforms. It's everywhere right now. It was just released on Friday. It's really, really good. And also, fun fact, Jamie McIntyre, one of my favorite artists, he's releasing a song too, or just released a song too, outside of the city. I feel like it was easier making healthy choices with my kids, even though I wasn't completely healed. Yes. Now the problem with that, and this is what I found, was I was speaking the things that they should be doing. Good morning, Roger. But I was believing, and I was conflicted because I'm trying to do the right thing, but I hadn't healed yet. I still believe myself. So I was telling them to do as they're told, not do as I say, not as I do. Yes, Ashley. And that was me very much. Also, hi, Ashley. I haven't seen you in a while. People that heal while they're raising their kids. And that's what I really, really tried to do with mine. They're still in therapy, for God's sake. But also there was a lot happening there. There was a lot to unpack with my healing. I did the opposite of my parents, and try as I might, I still passed on things to my kids that I didn't want passed to me. Yes, Amy. Yes. It's the story of the Gen X, right? I mean, we're trying so hard, man. We can act like we can say, oh, Gen X, we don't have any fucks left, right? No, not true. We do. Unfortunately, it's like that's those still waters run real deep. We do have all of them. Different than my mom, but totally pulled my mom yesterday too. See, we all pass stuff on no matter what. Yes, because it's what we know. It's what we know. Right? And then there's that weird feeling of once you do all that work and you strip yourself bare of all that, all the past, what are you left with? What are you left with? Right? Don't beat yourself up. You did the best you could. That's what I tell people all the time, Cindy. Again, I say all the words. I say the words, but it's different than walking the walk, talking the talk versus walking the walk. And yeah, genetics play a huge part of it. How we process things, how we function, how we emotionally process things. A healing parent gives their kids permission to be imperfect. They also witness your evolution. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's really important for people to see is when people are like, you should never fight in front of the kids. Well, you know what? People fight. But if you do fight in front of your kids, you also apologize and heal in front of your kids. Show them how to do both sides of it. And as opposed to, I'm not on board with never ever fight in front of your kids, never ever say bad things, in front of your kids. Well, how are you going to teach them conflict resolution? How are you going to, or we just don't talk about it. Everything's fine, but also there has to be an understanding of how to process all that. That's just, again, one example. Teaching our kids. Yep. One of probably the best things that my husband ever did, and this was one of the turning points in the process of, I had left, like we separated, and we sat down as a family. He called the meeting. And he said, I owe your mother, you and your mother, you kids and your mother, an apology. Listed out what he was apologizing for and the steps that he was going to take to not allow it to happen again, and how it was wrong of him to say those things, to do the things that he had done. And that is when I knew, oh, hey, look, there's growth here. And yes, that was with the help of a therapist. He was talking to his parents, and his parents going, you did what? Kind of thing. And that was a good turning point. That was very powerful. And again, now that my kids were teenagers at the time, they're adults now. I would like to think they actually both are in really good, or the two younger, all three of them actually are in really good, solid, healthy relationships. And you know what? That could be because they were like, what not to do? Do everything that my parents did. Let's do everything opposite of them. But I would also, acknowledge, listen, we had no chance. Like, when I point now to my kids and we talk about this stuff occasionally, I'll be like, just so we're all aware, you all had no chance. I had no chance. You had no chance. My parents had no chance, because this goes all the way back through the bloodlines, back to the point that we started with. This goes back this is generations of what is normal. So then if you look at you zoom out even further and look at the even bigger picture of the age of, is it Pisces? Yeah, age of Pisces. Sorry, I was like, what is it? Age of Pisces? Age of Pisces, Jesus age, for the 2000 years as we're moving into Aquarius, masculine dominated versus feminine dominated. So there's been a huge shift in consciousness and awareness, but prior to that, it was all one way or no way. And how women were raised, perfect example, like the belief system, you get married, you have babies, and then that's it. Then you're useless. So generationally, if you look at the patterns, now we're in this new energetic shift where we're a lot more conscious. And I really believe Gen X was a catalyst for that. We are that generation that is a huge catalyst for that change. And we don't always understand. We know that something's off. We know that we need to change, but we don't always know why. And then our millennial kids are like, well, how come you didn't do this, this, and this, and this? I'm like, listen, you're on the other side of this, right? You are. And this is why we pay for therapy. So you can break those chains. Yes, Kim, breaking the chains, work every day at that and teaching kids to put phones down. Grandkids have learned apps. I know. Again, there's that fine line of teaching the kids to be prepared for the future of what they are going to be faced with without losing the integrity of what we can bring to the table of the past. Gigi, I'm so opinionated. Let me go back. Yes, Gigi, same. I was told the same. Our opinions meant nothing. Only the adults in the room. But what those people saying those things did not prepare us for is, oh, but what happens when we become adults? What happens when we become, then how do we have an opinion? We've been conditioned to believe that we'll never have an opinion worth hearing, right? Same, Gigi. I am also very opinionated. I've learned in my old age to allow those opinions to simmer in the background where before I just like let them fall out of my face. Because sometimes my opinions, and this is another thing, again, going back to belief systems and tribal belief sets and things like that, that we believe coming in, sometimes I'll have an opinion and then I'll go, oh, that's not very PC of me. And I'm like, that was rude. Why did I think that? I don't believe that, but why did that thought pop in my head? And then I could trace it back to exactly why that thought popped into my head, and it had to do with the things I heard growing up. Right? It's not even something I believe, but it's the first thing that pops into my head as a response, as an opinion. So I've learned to simmer on opinions instead of just throwing things out. I also think Gen X and older millennials were what? Yes, yes, what Dolores Cannon predicted, 1000%. Yes, Gigi, that's just it. You don't always share the opinions, but it's amazing how much pops into your head. And then you go, wait, do I even believe that? And I used to just like let stuff fall in my face, and then you can't take it back. And then someone, usually my kids, would call me out and be like, you can't say that out loud. I'm like, well, I don't even actually believe it. I don't know why I said it. Working on keeping my opinions to myself, but it's hard. Yeah, I know. We are very programmed, but think about it. Our technology. Let's think about technology. When you create a computer is formed. It is created. It has no memory, has nothing. There's nothing to it. It's just bonk, a box. But we start adding memory cards. We start adding a motherboard. We start adding all these things. And then eventually the computer starts becoming a little more intuitive. Look at our phones, predictive text. Why is it predictive text? Because those are the things that we've programmed it. And it's not that the phone is bad or evil, or well, it might be. It's based on what is programmed into it. What has been programmed into the computer? There was nothing there before. Right? Now, I don't believe that about humans so much, because I do believe as a soul, we come in, we have a past, we have other lifetimes, we are tapped into a collective consciousness. And so I do believe that we don't come in as blank slates necessarily. But in this lifetime, yes, we are, because the veil thins. And it's not like we come in and just know everything. Also, how many of you, when you were kids, knew things about adult situations, but had never experienced, like you just kind of knew things, but you didn't know how you knew them? Yeah. My daughter will call me out so quick when I go negative. Makes you, yes. Oh, my kids do too. Sometimes a little too much. Sometimes especially my middle child, sometimes she'll call me out and she'll say that I'm being a certain way. I'm like, literally not part of my thought process, but appreciate you saying so. But it's always good to have somebody to keep you on your toes. But think about it. And so, yeah, that's my challenge for you today, is to look at your own thought patterns, your own opinions that you're keeping in your head, the ones that you're not quite saying out loud because you're like, wait, should that come out of my face, or should we just leave that energy tucked back over here? Right. Okay, Ruby. Yeah, you're saying the same thing. When you were 6, your thoughts were so much more than a little kid should have. Yes, I had the same thing. And I look back now and go, oh, well, that makes sense, because I do past life regression work now. And I understand that things come in. Brittany, hey girl, hey. Oh my God. I love it when you come in and do that. That's literally one of my favorite things, when you come into my lives like that. I can always count on you. Hey girl, hey. So that's your challenge. is to start recognizing even your own patterns, because I don't think we realize just how often, good morning, Michelle, we do that garbage. And also to kind of flip the coin a little bit, it's not always negative. Ooh, the ear ringing. Oh my goodness. That was wild. It's not always negative. It's not always a bad thing, those thought patterns we have. Okay. So I want you to think about right now, the first thing that comes. Why is my eye itching? Somebody come in here that has pink eye. Weird. That was weird to say. 15 because I was ready to leave the fighting atmosphere. Yeah. I get that. I would have moved if I could have. My mom and I fought literally every day from age 13 until I gave birth at 21. No, until I got married at 20. Man, my ears are like on fire right now. But how hard is it to sit here and think about one positive thing about yourself? That is a programmed belief. A programmed belief. Now, my programmed belief was I could do whatever I want when I grew up. Girl power. And I'm a girl's girl now. But I look at my mom, who said those things and empowered me with those things, but didn't actually believe them about herself. That makes sense? No pink eye, maybe not. Ooh, see, it's my left eye too that was bugging me. So even just sitting here thinking about that, it took me a second. Like I put that out there. I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to say? I don't even know. I don't even know what I would say about myself that is a programmed positive belief about myself. Okay, so all of you are having left eye issues. That's funny. It's not funny, but it's weird because, like, why is my left eye itching? You've always been the quiet observer in your family. Yeah, not me. I was the one out front being super loud and having opinions without thinking them through. Now, very different energy now. But also the cool thing is that we have the power to literally change ourselves and reprogram ourselves. Even in my 50s, I look back even from 5 years ago. Holy crap, I'm not even close to, well, hi, Alicia, welcome. I do not need to hear about that, Roger. That just freaks me out. I was definitely the black sheep too. Still am. The good thing but you know what? I'll take it. Because I would rather be who I am today than the sheep following the herd in my family now. And it's not to say that I don't love my family. It's just I have absolutely no interest in indulging in that way of thinking, way of existing. The amount of anger that even my brothers, like my mom has talked about this, like just how angry my kids have talked about this, how angry my brothers are about life, everything. I'm like, I don't want to be angry. I just don't want to be angry because that makes us sick. It makes us tired. It makes us old. There's not enough Botox in the world to fix anger. Turning your life completely around, was wild, doing crazy stuff. Yeah, I was very angry as a teen, which, by the way, until you're 25, like you have all those hormones. If you look back, you go, well, it tracks. It makes sense because our body's changing. And then here in menopause, I have all that too, you know, but it's different though, I find. Oh, no worries, Jen. I find that as an adult, I process anger differently too. Even in menopause, I do not process it. And maybe it's because I'm a spiritual practitioner and I think that things flow through me differently. And I have a very different perspective on life because I see a lot of people who don't have the same belief system that I do with spirit guides and understanding that this is just a blip in the, on the radar, and that a lot of things that we stress about really we should not be stressed about. Um, and I find that because of that, because of the way I practice, and my belief system there, things don't bother me like they used to. But I find that most of you that are watching right now have heard me say there are two actual emotions, fear and love. Everything else comes from those. And either you choose fear or you choose love. When you have physical issues, hormones, actual physical problems, there are things that are going to change, mental health issues that are unprocessed. You're going to be angry. You're going to feel all different emotions. You're going to process things differently. I've done the therapy. I do all the things. And if the next 40 years I can function in this kind of space, I'll take it. Way better than what I had in my 30s. But you have fear and love. Everything else stems from that. Lack of purpose and direction supplies underlying acts. Absolutely, Roger. Thank you for saying that. I know, Jen. Teen hormones and menopause at the same time. 2 thumbs down. No thanks. Then you throw in your boomer parents who have opinions and want to judge you on your parenting skills. I've spent the last 3 years working on responding to situations instead of reacting to them. Yes. And being thoughtful in the response. And then also asking yourself, is it even my business? You know, our daughter, the 24-year-old, got herself in a situation. It wasn't like anything life altering, but it was something that it was going to affect her financially. And my husband was like, well, she should have done that. He got really riled up, and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, why are you upset about this? This is, first of all, not our money. 2, let her have her lesson. We can be here to support. And if she wants our help, if she wants our opinion, then we'll give it. But why would we volunteer that? Like, let her learn. We are robbing people of lessons every time we have an opinion about something, every time we try to fix something or tell them what we would have done. So just because we would have done something different doesn't mean they should have done something different. Right. And then an hour later, okay, you ready for this? My husband comes to me, he says, you know what? You're right. First of all, let's just talk about that. Talk about that feeling of washing over me going, wait, can you say that again? That's like foreplay right there. What did you just say? You said I was what? He said, you're right. This is not for us to fix. This is an opportunity for her to learn a lesson while there is still a safety net of people helping. I know, right, Brittany? Should have had that on video. Like, can you say that again? So I can just listen to it over and over and over again. Just the part where you said, you know what, you're right. I just want to hear that. And can you say it in a Scottish accent with a kilt on? Because then you're just like guaranteed. I'm just saying. That was rude. Sorry. Anyway, but those are not words that come out of his mouth ever. Like, you know what? You were right. Surround sound. Put it on the overhead speakers. I told the doctor I'm usually right, so I made him repeat so I could record. That is genius, Gigi. I love that. Mistakes are the lessons. Yes. And a good friend of mine that I've done a lot of spiritual work with, and we used to do lives and stuff together on like other platforms. My friend Dana Sear, she put it beautifully when she said, every time you try to fix something for someone else, you're robbing them of a lesson. Like, why are you making it all about you? Quit making it all about you and what makes you comfortable. And you know what? It didn't make me comfortable to step away and let her learn that lesson. But guess what? She fixed it and I told him, I said, listen, have faith in the fact that we raised smart kids. We equipped them. They have traveled their entire lives. They know how to deal with travel issues. Give them the opportunity to be proud of themselves. Give them the opportunity. I bet you do, Gigi. I would too. I just have it on repeat on the overhead speakers all the time. Give them the opportunity. And if you want to feel good about yourself as a parent, watch your kids problem solve. Give them the space to do it and watch them soar. Let them problem solve. And this, I fully believe, is truly a way to look at, going back to the whole theme of the day, bloodlines. How are you looking at the past? How does your family help you deal with that? And there are times that my daughter will come to me and I'll be like, I have absolutely no idea how to help you. What do you need from me? How can I best support you? Because I don't know how to help. And I am, and it's hard because I'm a problem solver. I am very much a problem solver. Like I immediately go into solution mode because that is my survival skill. Some people shut down. Some people are very introspective. Some people take a nap and they feel better. Some people immediately go into fix it mode. And that's, yeah, right. A number of you, a lot of you that hang with me on Thursdays are, I can feel it. You're problem solvers. And which is why we would all be besties in a room. Right. So, and my mom, honestly, growing up, that's how she was too. She's like, okay, well, how do we fix it? Like, quit crying, put on your big girl panties and fix it. Like, why are we upset? Now, what I do differently than what my mom did, also not slamming my mom at all in any way, shape, or form. She had me when she was 16. There is no bandwidth there. Like, she wasn't even old enough to problem solve. And my grandparents are so passive, like they're not about problem solving either. So love them. They just weren't. So I came in, like, as I tell my kids, I had no chance. This is all new territory for my entire bloodline. Okay. How do we teach our kids to problem solve? Well, when we don't even know how to do it, like if I don't even know how to help, right? Other than just being vulnerable and saying, I have no idea how to help you. This is not something I was equipped with. Think about it too. Okay, Gen Xers. Ooh, I know you all have it. Oh, I know you have a hard time with this. Discipline with spanking, period. Spanking with a brush, spanking with whatever the nearest thing. Spanking, physical punishment was how we were raised. I was not physically abused, but spanking was a thing. I started out raising my oldest child with, a swat on the butt, smack on the hand. And then every time I did it, it hurt my soul. And I was like, okay, we can't do this. And my husband and I decided that we weren't going to do that anymore. And we weren't going to spank. We weren't going to do that. We had no problem solving skills. We had no parenting skills because that's what it was. We were only raised with brute force, fear and love, going back to the two emotions, fear and love. How do we function? Fear and love. So there are a lot of things my kids got away with because I didn't know how to deal with them. Yeah. Right, Gigi? Like, you want to help, but you have no idea. So as a Gen Xer who was raised with corporal punishment, even in school, they wouldn't help me. They would just tell me, well, if you don't do your homework, then you're going to get spanked. And I was like this quietest kid. I wouldn't even cough in class. Like, I would never ask to go to the bathroom. I would just like hold it all day because I didn't want to be a bother. I didn't want to be intrusive. I was so painfully shy. But I had ADHD off the charts. So I would just forget homework existed. They pulled me in 5th grade, called me over the overhead speaker. What was his name? Started with a C. Anyway, I had a dude teacher for social studies. They go the overhead in the classroom, call my name and tell me to go down to the principal's office. This is the kid who wouldn't even ask to go to the bathroom, wouldn't even cough in class, would not ask for anything, would not ask for help because I was so painfully shy. And then of course the whole class, ooh, because I got called to the principal's office, and I get down there. My mom is there, the principal's there, and he was like, "You see that paddle up on the wall? It's like his prized trophy with the holes." He was like, "I use that because it hurts more. And if you don't get your homework done, I'm using it on you." Yeah. So when it came to raising children, I had no idea how to cope, how to help, how to process and function in that space, how to not threaten physical violence, because that was just spare the rod, spoil the child, right? Well, they would do that in classes as well. Like that wasn't uncommon, but like, and even my husband, oh, that was a big stretch. Even my husband talked about that. He was in Catholic school. He was like, "Oh yeah, we took beatings on the knuckles, on the rear end. Like that was just with the ruler. Like that was just what we did in front of the whole class if we didn't do what we needed to do." And y'all wonder why we're messed up as a generation, but we're trying. We're really consciously trying. Yeah, mine was public school, Michelle. Mine was public school. So again, how do you break those lines from the past? Lots of therapy. And I had my kids in therapy at an early age just because I didn't know how to freaking deal with any of it. And we were kind of a hot mess. We had no idea how to cope. So I'd like to think that even though my children were a hot mess, because I was a hot mess and my husband's a hot mess, we had no idea how to cope with anything, that at least we gave them the tools. And I see them functioning in their relationships now. And I'm very proud of them because they're also not afraid to admit that they need to ask for help. They've learned how to ask for help and to reach out to their partners and go, "Hey, listen, yeah, I suck today." Right. But that is part of that whole breaking cycles and breaking that change as we move into this age of Aquarius. How do we're managing our emotions better. We're not just threatening physical violence. Right. And honestly, I see the same trends in religion. Seeing the same things with religion. You have your religious belief sets that were dumped on us, right? Versus now where you start seeing people questioning. And I will say, my mom told me to always question things. I don't have to just take yes or no for an answer. Unless it was from her, then I don't question. That was what I was raised with. Isn't that crazy? So yeah. Okay. That's what I think about that. So yeah, if you ever have a past life regression and you land in your current lifetime, just know that's not failing. That's where the program beliefs have to be addressed. Raised by my grandparents till a certain age. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents because my mom was single mom by the time I was 10, and she had to work like 8 jobs, and we just stayed with my grandparents all the time. And they owned a couple of businesses. So I just grew up working, literally just grew up working, but it wasn't working. It was just contributing to the family. Like that's just what we had to do. It wasn't like some sort of torture, but you know what? I learned how to count change back without a calculator. I learned how to have good customer service. I learned how to be thankful, but that's just how it was, you know? So yeah, I mean, if you're ever curious, but honestly, you can do that yourself, even like just asking spirit to show you, why am I triggered by that? Ask your spirit guides to show you. Last time I young was told dad had passed until one day he pulled up in the front yard. Oh, shit. Oh, Alicia, that's a lot. What? That's insane. What a story. That's a book right there. Oh, that's cool, Paula. A little bait shop. So you know about the worms. There were also Vietnam War and World War II. So many parents with much pain and trauma unhealed. Bam. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't look at my family and go, well, they sucked. They also were raised with belief systems. They also had their own trauma. They also had their own stuff going on that they tried to do better by us. And it's evolution. It's truly evolution. You know? Gosh, you know, I listened to my grandma. I remember my grandma saying to me when my husband and I were going through some problems, she's like, just looked at me, she goes, but why? But he's not a drunk and he doesn't beat you. I'm like, low bar, grandma. Low bar. So, but that's because that's what her dad did. And that's the life she grew up with. It is a privilege to be able to heal. Say it louder for the people in the back. It's a privilege to be able to heal. It truly is. I'm very blessed. I had the resources to do therapy. I had the resources. Now I will say when I didn't have resources as far as dollars, but you know what? When I was younger, I had gone through a divorce and I was a single mom. I was like, we got to fix this. I didn't know how I was going to fix it. I just knew it needed to be fixed. And I went on Medicaid and I sought out counseling that I only paid. It was on a sliding scale. I paid $5 a visit. Best counselor to date that I ever had. And she was a graduate student. This should tell you how screwed up I was. 23 years old, single mom. This grad student had a huge caseload. And she asked me to be part of her documentary thesis, like her final project, because my story was so over the top and I had come so far from it that she was just like, I don't know that I could have done what I don't know that I could have survived everything that you've been through. I'm thinking, am I being dramatic? What? I feel like it's a little dramatic. Look, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Right? So yeah, that's a fun fact. I'm someone's project. I was someone's project. So I look at, again, going back to family trauma, family bloodlines, family, looking at all the patterns, right? And what shapes us to be who we are today, and how we really, truly have a choice to honor that. You can honor that and go, wow, so I am here today doing this work now as a psychic medium, as a healer, as a QHHT past life. I'm doing all these things that I probably never would have done had I not survived that. You know what's funny is I forgot that until literally in this moment. I forgot about that. I wonder what she's doing. I wonder what that particular. I was literally 23 years old. That was 30 years ago. She was a fantastic counselor. And it was $5 because I was resourceful. Yeah, I seriously forgot about that until in real time. Just when I had the look, like that's when I remembered it. I have not thought about that for 30 years. She sent the video to me at the time, or she showed me the video because it was on VHS tape. I got to see it. I never got a copy of it, but I did get to see it. I don't even remember her name. I do have a note from her, however, that she mailed me and thanking me for sharing my story and allowing her to be part of the journey, and that she was just in awe of the amount of healing that I had done or things that I had survived. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Thank you, Alicia. Oh, I love it. I still have that note in my trunk. All right, I'm going to see if I can find that note. Because you're right. If I can find her, how cool would it be to reach out and be like, do you remember when you were in grad school and you did a documentary and I was in it? And see, Connie, her name was Connie, I think. I'm almost positive it was. I'll have to look it up. But I was very resourceful. I knew that things needed to be fixed. I just didn't know how to do it. And I just knew I needed to get whatever resources I could to fix it. And that's what I did. That's what I did. Thank you, Luna. Wow, like all of a sudden, like that just seemed to open up a whole floodgate of memories of that specific time, that probably 6, 8, like I was with her for almost her entire master's program. So like a year and a half. And then she went to Africa for missionary work. I totally have to find her now. I'm on it. Got this. But that was that's where I would challenge you. If you have those intrusive thoughts, good or bad, how do you, hi, Kristen, trace them back? Ask them, is this true? Is what I'm thinking about myself true today? Where did that come from? Is it something that's currently in my life, or is this something that's from that I was told that I never met on the Book of Faces? Oh, that's crazy, Alicia. Yeah, that's a whole deep dive right there. Wow. That's crazy. Good morning, Katrina. I can't even imagine the processing, Alicia, that you had to go through. How old did you say you were when he showed up? My counselor told me I took a lot of good from a lot of bad situations. Yes. Yeah, it was really cool. Paid for him and his family to come meet me. Oh, I love that, Alicia. 28. Whoa. I started to say, can you imagine? No, you don't need to imagine. You lived it. I can't even process what that would look like or feel like. Like to just one day be like, no, my dad died when I was a little kid. And he's like rolling up. Hey, your dad, not actually dead. That's crazy. Because then you are required in that moment to reflect on your entire life and figure out what was a lie and what wasn't. And your belief system. It would make you question every single person and thing and event in your life. That would be insane. I couldn't even imagine. Couldn't even imagine. Can you guys imagine that? Like just thinking you'd been told your whole life that a parent had been unalived or whatever, they were no longer living. And then all of a sudden, 20 years old, they roll up and be like, hey, I'm your dad. I can't even fathom that at all. Wow. Well, and the fact that what a great story that you have to tell, though. I mean, Because that's how you have to look at it. Oh, when your dad came, you were 10. Still, oh, and then you don't even have the bandwidth or wherewithal to even process that. It just becomes, oh, I can't trust people. People lied to me. The people that I depend upon lied to me. That's all you process as a 10-year-old. Met your brother when you were 28. I gotcha. Still, that's still a groundbreaking. Oh, wait, I also have a what? I feel like that should have been mentioned when you were 10. That should have already been thrown in there, maybe. That you should have known that all along. So many layers to that. I couldn't even imagine. My therapist would have been earning every dime they were getting after that. For sure. Got it. Okay. All right. But still, there's still so many layers to that. So many layers to that. What a crazy journey you've been on. I'd be interested to know what your life path number is. And you don't tell me, but like just in your life path number. And how you do that is you take your birthday and add up the numbers. So like my birthday is August 13th, 1971. 8 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 1. Add those up. And then whatever that number comes to, like 33. Then you add those, or whatever. That's like 12. And then you add those numbers together. So you're a 7. That tracks. Oh my gosh, that totally tracks. Hold on, let me get my book. Look at me, I'm like deep diving into Alicia's business over here. Because 7s are conflict, but not interesting. Okay. 7 is a spiritual number. So you're here. Refers to respite, introspection, contemplation, evaluation, soul development, biding time, pondering choices, sorting out options, intellectual pursuits, study, meditation, analysis, research, objectivity. Okay, I'm going to skip past some of these. Hold on. Patiently waiting. Yep. Truth, awareness. Like the 5s, 7s tend to disrupt the harmony of the 6s and bring greater variety, activity, and expansion, experimentation, and imagination into life. The Chariot and the Tower are associated with the number 7. Well, that makes sense. Gigi's an 8. Order, achievement, recognition, power, money, progress, sound judgment. And then who else did I see? Who just dropped their number? A 9. 9s are fascinating. Final, it represents the end of a cycle or phase of life. Let me fast forward here. In astrology, the 9th harmonic relates to, wait, hold on. 9 signifies the final integration of the previous 8 stages of the cycle. 9 refers to completion, perfection, purification, giving, detachment, attainment, ending, loss of an aspect of one's life to make way for a new cycle, finishing matters. Yeah. I love numerology. Oh, how do you get your numbers? You add, oh, no. So if you add, so here, I'll do mine. 8, 13, 19, 71. Okay. 71. So you write out your numbers. So like, there's my birthday, right? So I'm going to add the 8 plus 4, because you take all your double digits and add them down. So that's going to break down to 4. Okay. So 8 plus 4 plus 10 plus 8, because 19 and then 71, right? And then so 8 plus 4 is 12 plus 19, because 10 or 18, sorry. That's just kidding. Yeah, 10 plus 8 is 18. Jeez. But that 18 breaks down to a 9. The 12 breaks down to a 3. And the 9 plus the 3, okay, is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I'm a life path 3. So you just break down all your add up all your numbers, keep adding them together until you get down to a single digit. And that's how you get your life path number. Now, if you want to know your current year number to figure out what kind of shit show you're going to have in the current year, then you do the year. So like right now, I would do for my current year, it'd be 8, 13, 20, 24, because I've not had my birthday yet in 2025. Okay, so I would add it up from that. So 2024, that's number 8. You'd think I'd remember these things. 12, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm in a number, I knew that. I'm in a number 2 year where I'm learning how to partner and play nice with others, which has been great for my show because then I've actually had a number of guests on here. It's been kind of fun working with others, partnerships and stuff like that. So your personal year is different than your life path year. And a simple Google search on, well, you can do yours, just add them up. So 11, so 2 plus 4, 6, 16, 25, 7, you're a life path 7. Just keep adding them up until they come down to a single number. You're welcome. So then your current year would be 11, 22, 20, 24. So you would just add those up. So Michelle, you're a 3. That makes sense actually for you. 9 in your current. So there's a lot of endings happening for you. So that tells me, Alicia, for you, this year is all about you probably have a lot of relationships that have ended, and not necessarily in a bad way. It's not always a bad thing. It's just like they've come to a natural conclusion. You've probably finished up a lot of things, tied up a lot of loose ends, and you're getting ready to move. And you're probably energetically moving into new ventures, new things, new relationships, new friendships, new ways of thinking, new hobbies. Your number year is 5, 7. No. So see, if you were, let me make sure I did the math right. 11, 22, 1990. Okay. Would be, you want to keep adding them up till you get down to, so what 11 would break down to a 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. 22, 2 plus 2 is 4. 1990. So you add up 1 plus 9 plus 9. Okay. That is 19. So then you would add the 1 and the 9, which is an 8. Okay. 8 plus 4 is 12, 13, 14. Oh, I may have gotten it wrong. I may have done math wrong. Hold on. Oh, okay. So is that right? 4, 19, 8, 12, 13, 14. You're actually, oh, actually, I did the math wrong. Sorry. You're a life path 5, which makes sense actually with all the shit show you got going on. So if you're 11, 22, 19, 90 would be life path 5, but current year would be, so 2 and 4, so that's 6 plus. So you're in 2024, 8, 14. You're in a current year 5. Yeah. So you just keep adding the numbers until they break down to a single digit. That's it. That's all you do. I know it's crazy, isn't it? So much for me mathing. What the heck? And nobody corrected me either. I'm saying all that math out loud. Personal year number 5 for me, intense movement, unpredictability, radical personal transformation. Yeah. An 11. So you're actually a 2. Also, hi, Fleur. How are you? Now I know I have 25 projects in my workroom. Yep. Yep. That's exactly why. It's exactly why. All right. Wasn't I going to do readings today? I was going to do readings today. And we ended up chit-chatting the whole time. Okay. So fun fact. I'm going to be, after June 8th, I'm basically off for 2 months from the studio. I mean, I'll still be going in and I'll still be doing stuff, but I'm not teaching regular classes for 2 months. Because I thought I was going to be traveling to the West Coast, but that plan has changed because of family situation. And that's cool, Roger. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to start going live a couple evenings a week, doing more lives, doing some more readings and beyond, and keep the show, still do fun things on the show, but also throwing more lives and doing more events. I do have Trance class, intro to Trance class. If you are a current medium, a practicing medium, or someone who's on a spiritual journey where you understand your guides, you understand energy, you kind of understand mediumship, not brand new to the thing, then you might check out my class, intro to Trance mediumship. Because I'm only allowing 10 people in the class. If it fills up, I'll offer a second class, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to have a lot more time over the summer to be able to offer cool classes. But Trance is something I do. It feels very natural for me now. It's crazy. I never thought I'd say that ever, but here we are. It's only $40 for the class. It's like a workshop, and I have it for 2 hours, but if anybody's taken my classes, you know that my classes are never just 2 hours. They always end up going over. You don't need to be a medium already. You need to understand spirit guides, because the way I teach it, you utilize your spirit guides, you utilize your spirit team. If you are like, I've never done this before, I think it'd be really fun, not the class for you. But if you've taken my development class, if you've been in one of my development classes, you would understand where I'm coming from. So you'd be able to step into a Trance class. Hi, Jen. Good morning. So you don't need to be a medium. We're already mediums. All of us are. So does that make sense? Thank you, Amy, for saying that. She said they are wonderful classes, learning a lot and good energy. And it's just, all trance mediumship is it's not all that is. It's understanding, like when we do mediumship, majority of the mediums you see do mental mediumship. Okay. They're connecting mind to mind with the spirit realm, and they're using their own thoughts and their own filters to bring through information. Okay. Trance mediumship is your ego, your conscious mind gets out of the way, spirit steps in, uses your vocal cords, and talks. I've been in a class for almost a year. I've grown, but would like to step into the next level. You're check out my class. If you've never done trance mediumship before, it's cool. I signed up, but then couldn't go because of work. Someday I will go to your classes. Someday. Well, I'm moving them to Wednesdays. They're going to be moving to Wednesdays starting in June. Because that's going to be my day off next season. Yeah, check out my classes. I also, one of the things on my agenda today is to go ahead and get on the schedule Spirit Guides 101. I need to do a Spirit Guide 101 class. So for people who have never met their spirit guides, who have never made that connection, that they can do that. That's something I'm really good at teaching. Someday you'll actually get to go to my classes someday. So if you've never met your spirit guide, Spirit Guide 101 is a good class. Learning the language of your guides is a good class that I teach. But again, I teach them as workshops. I'm trying to, I actually have signed up for a little, like a class. I paid like $27 to learn how to create a video where people can just click to pay. And that way it's not that expensive. And you don't have to schedule anything. You can just watch the video on your own time. and do the guided meditation and meet the guides that way. Thank you, Michelle, for saying that. I do like teaching my classes. This week was weird, but good. Because I just let my guides tell me what I'm teaching. Thank you, Amy. It said they're wonderful classes, learning a lot and good energy. I already said that. Is it new moon? I guess I did notice the moon was kind of a sliver last night. New moon energy. My ears have been ringing off the charts today. Either my allergies are acting up or, oh. Okay. Hi, Janet. It's like now they're all coming in. Oh my gosh, they're just all coming in now. I'm just going to sit here and hold my glass. Do you want fries with that? Do I look like a drive-through medium? Read the room, friends. Read the fucking room. Jiminy Christmas. I'm always amazed at people like, what, seriously, imagine extra salt. Do you need any? What the fuck? And I love that Michelle's in here because Michelle made this for me. Oh my God. Hey, Paula, are you still in here? The reason I was thinking about Paula, because I was like, I've got to get my merch. I want to get like a t-shirt that I can wear on the lives or do kind of some merch, but I also want to incorporate the fries with that. So I'm kind of glad we didn't have it done yet, but I'm stuck at designing things. But can you imagine just walking into, hi, Steph, walking into a room full of people you don't know and just saying, am I pregnant? Like, can you imagine? Yeah, read the room. Read my intro. And by the way, I'm not going to be reaching out to you, but my scammers will. The ones pretending to be me are going to reach out to you and they're going to say, oh, I saw your question about, and for $500, I can do a reading for you. And oh my gosh, you've got curses. It's not me, just so you know. Need a cheese and wine shirt. No kidding. I think that's my issue, is that I have so many ideas and I don't know that I could narrow it down to one for my merch, you know? So meeting your spirit guides is obtainable in one session. So mind blowing. It's attainable in less than 5 minutes. Talk to them all the time. Have no idea who I'm speaking to. Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, you can. It's super easy. Our spirit guides. I do need a store. Actually, I just need stuff I can wear, really. And so our spirit guides function in a frequency that are really close. And this is how I like to explain it to people, is that spirit guides and loved ones are really similar in frequency. We function in this frequency, right? Angels, big frequency over here. We might be functioning at 99.5 on the radio station. Our spirit guides are 99.7. And how we do it is we like blend our energy to meet at 99.6. And that's how mediums function. That's how we connect, is in that frequency, right? So it's a matter of asking for the adjustment in your frequency, and also believing what you're seeing. Like when you invite in information, when you invite stuff in, do you believe it? Okay. You learn how to discern. And this is where the classes I teach come in. You do exercises, you work with others, and you learn how to discern what is your mind, what's coming in for your mind, and what's coming in for somebody else, or like from spirit. It really is discernment. Your merch, read the room or you will get fries with that. Read the room. Yep. Yeah, it's learning the discernment. And that's what you learn in my classes long term. I don't teach you just how to be a medium. I don't teach you just how to um, go check out my website. Seriously, hippie chick. Like I've got my trance mediumship class coming up, but I also, Amy, is it June 11th is my next class? Is that my next date? I don't know off the top of my head. It's the second Wednesday. Yeah, check out the link in my bio. If you go to my bio, you'll see, it'll take you to my website and just it'll take you to my link tree, hit classes, mentorship and classes. Yeah. Okay. Amy's confirmed. It's June 11th and anybody can join those classes, any level. Like this past week, we had, 2 brand new people and then a class full of people who have been doing this for a long time. And it works. I can't tell you, it works. And those are only $20. So those classes, I literally have twice a month, all year round. You can drop in one class. You can do a bunch of us. Yep, there were 13 of us this class. That was kind of a significant number, interestingly enough. But we've done so much in that class that June 11th class, spiritual development, and June 25th. That's right. Okay. Thank you, Amy. So yes, June 11th and June 25th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is my all level spiritual development class. And that's the one you'd want to take if you've never done this before. And then also make sure you follow me on the socials because anytime I have another class coming up, I publicize it. And yeah, we get done by 10-ish. And then the trance mediumship class is June 18th. Yep. Cool. Good. So, you can sign up now and I do limit my class sizes. I do limit them because I want everybody to have a good experience and everybody to be able to get a lot out of it. We've done everything from channeled writing. We'll do exercises where we my guide, Dr. Mike, will say, tell them to think of a song and write it down. And then we abandon that for like the next hour and do something completely different and then go back to that. And then he's like, now pair people up. Then I pair people up and all of a sudden every single song lands with the people that it matches with. It's crazy, but I love it. I trust the process. And this is part of getting to know your guides and trusting that when they give you information, what they're bringing is true. Right. There's an exercise I haven't done in a really long time that is colors. Think of a color, write it down. This week, it was 5 words, a number, and a country. And then I, as the teacher, had to intuitively match everybody up. And it made sense. Somehow it all made sense. But then the entire class had this weird thread of similar words. Like it was wild. It was wild. Like it took me a minute. I was like, that actually worked just now. What? Because I trust my guides. I trust my teacher guide to come in and teach the class. There was one time that I was like, oh, today I think we're going to do a meditation and go to the Akashic records. And we did. And Dr. Mike got tired of me talking. And all of a sudden, it was a collective consciousness for sure. All of a sudden, Dr. Mike steps in. I'm doing trance mediumship, and Dr. Mike was driving the bus. Literally, it was crazy. So I never know from week to week, from class to class, what exactly is going to be happening because I trust my spirit guides to tell me what my class needs. One of my favorite exercises is when we have to all read someone. We all get different parts. Wendy was the subject. That was a good one. That was a really good exercise. where we all had to read for Wendy. Also learning how the big energy spirits feel has been wonderful. Yes. Just connecting to, like, this last time, we also, to start, we invited in our joy guide, our teacher guide. You connect mental mind to mental mind, heart space to heart space. They overshadow you the energy. We're not doing trance mediumship with that. We're just connecting, right? They go to where we're going to be when we're working with them during the session. Then we invited in a master teacher guide so we could feel the difference between master level energy and spirit guide energy. They're very different, very different. Understanding the roles of our guides. At one time, we worked with our alchemist. There've been a couple where we work with our alchemist guide. I feel like at some point we're going to be working with angels and or deities, because it just requires a different frequency. And so we work with, but once you work with your spirit guides, and this is why it's important with trance mediumship, is understanding your spirit guides, because I work with Lily, my joy guide, who will adjust my frequency. So usually 3 or 4 days before I do my in-person trance class with my mentor, I do that once a month. Before that class happens, I'll feel anxiety. I'll feel like I'm on the verge of a panic attack. That's how I felt at first. Now I recognize that energy frequency shift. They have to gear up my body and my energy and my frequency to be able to receive that spirit, fully receive that spirit, not just channel through my mind, but to receive that and blend energy with that spirit. So if I'm blending with a deity, then I have to have the frequency to do that. I have to have the station, the radio station has to be tuned to that station for me to hear that song. Because if I want to hear jazz music, why would I turn on a rock and roll station? I have to go to the jazz station to feel that, right? Or to hear that music. And that's how trance mediumship works. So, and that's how working with spirit guides and working with deities. So that is a fun thing that we do in that class. But yes, we do readings for each other. Yeah, Wendy's was a remote viewing kind of, it felt like a remote viewing kind of thing. We've done remote viewing stuff before. We've done intuitive things like with cards, like, yeah, here's a card. What do you feel about that? What energy, what stands out to you about that? Write it down. And so that's what we do in my classes. So yeah, you guys have to check it out. And then again, I'd like to get more classes on the schedule now that I know for sure we're not going to be gone for 6 weeks like I thought we were going to be. I'm going to actually be around, so I'm going to have time to do stuff. So I'll go ahead and teach my classes. And if you've never taken my spirit guide class, it's going to be awesome. I love my spirit guide 101 class. If you have taken it before and you just need to like refresher, come take class. So yeah. Did you know all of this from the beginning, or did you start in one area and evolve so fast? Great question, Carrie. So I knew that I knew things as a kid, but I just thought everybody knew things. I had not like seen I was not a person who could see ghosts or anything like that. And I thought in order to be a medium, you had to see people on the other side. I had no idea that I was actually doing mediumship. I could feel people's emotions. I knew what they were going to say before they would say it. But I didn't know how I knew that. And I just thought that was a thing that everybody did. And turns out it is a thing that everybody does, right? I didn't start doing mediumship until it was a conscious choice to step into an arena of learning how to do it. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad because I have great mentors, great classmates. I do a lot of my work through Camp Chesterfield, or like a lot of my classes through Camp Chesterfield. Sometimes I'll do online classes through Arthur Findlay. But learning that discernment is so important, is learning how to process that information, because a lot of times I think we know things, but we don't know that we know things. Because what I'll tell people is, if you want to know what your spirit guides have to say to you, ask a question. Okay, what's your name? Or what do you want to be called? The first name that pops in your head is them answering. The second thing is you talking yourself out of it. So learning to honor what you hear. Don't ask the question if you're not ready to hear the answer, or if you're going to talk yourself out of the answer, right? And that just comes with practice. It comes with practice, and also having a safe space to develop. I have been so blessed in the classes that I take, online and in person. My mentor is fantastic, and my classmates just as fantastic, because I never feel weird about being vulnerable in class. Be like, I have no idea what I'm talking about right now, and getting honest goodness feedback. Can't wait to meet your mentor next month on your spirit signs and steps. Oh yes, it'd be awesome if you could come up to Camp Chesterfield. So on June 12th, my mentor is actually going to be on my show. I'm super excited. Glenda Carr. So you'll definitely want to mark your calendars for that, because she is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that, Roger. And that's key. You got to feel safe in your group. And there are so many good teachers out there. There are a lot of bad teachers, but and recognizing too, I've also Glenda's my anchor, right? Reverend Glenda's my anchor. And I've taken classes from Dominic Bogue. I took a 6-week intense class from him. And then I took classes from Eileen Davies. I've taken classes from Oak Ridge Institute. I've taken all kinds of classes, one-off classes, just workshops. I've taken online courses that don't involve interactions, but still there's a curriculum to them. So I've been studying for years on this. And so now I'm to the point where I'm finally just confident in what I do, and that's key. If you want to provide a good service to people, you have to be confident in your own abilities. But it's because of the spaces I've been blessed to be in. When people say things like, mediumship is a gift, I'm like, well, we all can do it. The gift is having the resources. That's the gift. Having the resources to be able to train, to be able to learn ethically, to be able to practice. If you're a single parent and you're working 5 jobs trying to keep your head above water, you're not stepping into that space of learning mediumship necessarily. You're surviving. Good afternoon, Gary. Welcome in. We were just talking about how people become mediums and how that kind of transpires. And the gift is being able to be blessed enough with a space to work in and to grow and to have a soft place to fall when you're feeling like you're not able to do it or whatever. So that's the key. We can all do it. The gift is the understanding, the discernment. And I've had people say, well, I'm a medium. I've never taken a class a day in my life and I'm good, But then I've heard them say things. I'm like, whoa, back up. Nope. No. And that are just not ethical. And they're not true because they've used their own discernment over the years and their spirit trained. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I get that. But shouldn't you be in a space of where maybe you're collaborating with others? That's cool, Gary. I love that. Yeah, it's difficult when you're surrounded by people who don't agree with it, but you keep working at it. Good. And that you just got, and this goes back to, again, circling back to the very beginning of what we talked about, bloodlines, right? Our belief systems, our tribal belief system. I have really good friends who want so bad to do this work, but they won't because their family won't let them. I'm like, you're a grown ass adult. Do whatever you want. Why? Why would you say that? Well, because their husband doesn't believe in it, or their mother doesn't believe in it, or they'd be ostracized. Once you get to a point where you're like, I don't care what you all think, I'm going to do what I want right now. super freeing, super freeing. Okay. Um, and I remember looking at my husband, this is back when we separated. I just was like, he didn't believe in the work. It was, what's funny is he claimed to be Catholic. I'm like, okay, cool. Say the creed. And he couldn't say anything. He couldn't, like, that's how Catholic you are not. So just quit it with your belief system because you don't even know what you believe. There's a whole, and I said, I feel like I'm being called to do this work. And if it's a choice between you and God, creator, universe, whatever we're calling it, I'm going to go with that. If I'm supposed to be healing people, I'm supposed to be helping people, then I feel like that's what I'm being called to do. And you're not on board, then sorry. Like that was seriously part of our conversation. And now he's like, do you have readings today? Cool. How'd it go? Now he's all on board. It's crazy, the difference. But that, what's cool though, is like I didn't come from a belief set where people didn't believe in it. Like that was, it was normal to believe in psychics. It was normal to watch. Like I grew up watching John Edward and Sylvia Brown. It wasn't, and like my brothers have predictive dreams. So does my mom. Like I come from a family of psychics. Right. And this is again where the discernment comes in, because my brother would have terrifying predictive dreams of things that were bad in the world, and then they would happen. And you'd know it was true because he was 10 years old watching a plane crash on TV and saying, no, I dreamed that. And it like freaked him out because he dreamt it, because then every nightmare from then on became in his mind would be prediction. And so he could have used some spiritual guidance through that, but we didn't have that. Like we didn't have that in the 70s and 80s. Right. My dad knew what age he was going to. Oh, see, that's terrifying. I don't want to know that. And again, if you've got this free flowing knowingness, collective, like connection to a collective conscious, or like if you're just wired that way, where you do get those predictions, you see death, you see terrible things, and you don't want to, this is where having a mentor, having a teacher, having someone a guide, someone to say to you, hey, you can work with your spirit guides on that. Let's change your energy. Let's change your frequency so you're not receiving that information. Let's set those boundaries. Let's set those energetic boundaries. Yeah. So, you know what? My brother has not talked to me in 9 years. I don't know if he still does, but I think my one brother's a cop and very, very, very intuitive. But unfortunately, because it's undeveloped, and like he would also take his own life things, and like he's a very angry man. So, used to get deja vu as a kid. I still get deja vu. I'll still get that. And in those moments though, now I stop and go, ooh, I'm going to take this in. I'm soaking it in so I can wait for the revelation of why I'm feeling this. All right, spirit, show me why I'm having this deja vu. Show me the source. Why am I having this? What do I need to pay attention to? So again, it's kind of nice having the training, having taken classes, so I can help discern those things, what's real. And then with having the trauma in my background, how much of that do I take into consideration and go, is this a trigger? Is something triggering me because I'm remembering something? You see what I mean? And learning how to discern whether it was past, or if it's present, or if it's something that I need to remember. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So anyway, well, it's noon now, and we didn't do any readings, but we had a great conversation. I really thought I was going to be doing readings today. That's insane. So anyway, I do personal readings. Check out my link in the bio. And because my schedule is going to be so open, I'm not traveling like I thought I was going to be. So I'm actually going to be able to take appointments. So I need to add those dates to my calendar. What is my mentorship consultation? So that is where the consultation is where if you want me to mentor you, if you're looking for someone to guide you on your journey, to give you, to kind of lay out a path for you, then you book a session for that with me. And then if you want to do check-ins, then that's the mentorship check-in. But what I do in those mentorship, what's funny is I'm actually going to be posting a video about that today. What you get with me as a mentor for the consultation is I kind of listen to you, like, what are your goals? Why? What's your why? Knowing full well that your why could evolve and change. Some people will come to me and only want to develop their connection to spirit for their personal life. Some people will want to work on being a better medium. Like, I have professional mediums that come to me and we work together. Still working on the image, determining how to create frequency. Oh, okay. Everyone is psychic. Absolutely. When you look at someone there unwell, that's psychic. It's literally, yep, I agree, Gary. And I think everyone can be a medium because we all carry the inner light. We're all connected to the collective consciousness. It's a matter of the understanding what you're seeing. Right. So as a mentor, I teach. Oh, thank you for saying that, Alicia. Yes, I'm a mentor to Alicia too. So we find out what your why is. I find out how you best learn. What does your schedule look like? What kind of time do you want to commit to this? What we determine kind of what your natural baseline gift is, not gift, but like where your clairs are. Kind of, we figure out just kind of where you are baseline and then where you want to be. And then I help you create a path to get there. So that's what I do as a mentor. And I always encourage people to take my all-level spiritual development class. There's a discount if you do one of my mentorship programs. You'll get a discount on the classes. But actually, I think if you do a 3-month program, it's included, classes are included. The regular all level spiritual development classes are included. So, and you save money. You save money that way. So yeah, that's what I do. So I meet people where they are. Ultimately, as a mentor, I meet you where you are. And we figure out where you want to go and where you want to be. Thank you, Alicia, for saying that. I have a blast in the classes. I learn something new every single class, even though I'm the teacher. And those of you in here that have taken my class, please tell them, please, if you feel called to, I don't tell anyone how to process their information. I meet every single person that comes into my class where they are and honor their own path and their own way of connecting, because everyone is different. I know, wasn't it, Alicia? That was so crazy. And I felt so discombobulated coming into that class. I had no idea what I was teaching. And I'm like, I have no idea what Dr. Mike's got up his sleeve right now. Oh, have a good day, Gigi. So, and that's what we're talking about. I do that here too, Gary. Are yours in person or are they online? I'd love to have the bandwidth to be able to do in-person classes, but I teach dance 4 days a week, 4 nights a week. So I don't have any more bandwidth to add in-person classes. So I just do all mine virtually. Trance class should be interesting because I've not done that virtually. I've taught that in person. So anyway, all right. Thank you all for hanging out and chit-chatting. June 12th, I've got Reverend Glenda coming on via dance movement. I know I need to do that as well, but people are weird in my community about that stuff. I teach the kids not mediumship through dance and movement, but how to connect to themselves energetically. You know, even in teaching a ballet class, I never just say, okay, put your arm out. It's okay. So let's imagine that I want you to reach way up. Okay. That's how high, and imagine what color are you today? How high, I want you to reach all the way to the end of your color. And then we gather all of our color right here. is as opposed to, all right, put your arms in front. They gather up all their energy here. They gather their energy here. Yeah. So I do teach that sort of in classes, but in an energy way, something that they can understand. And we do vibe checks at my studio. All of my teachers will do vibe checks with the kids, see where they are, so we can meet them where they are that day. It's cool. You're a very good instructor. Your guides rock, and the class is very eye-opening. Thank you for saying that, Amy. I appreciate that. Oh, aren't they hilarious? My students, they did. If you go watch it should be pinned on my Instagram. But yeah, I've got, so that's like a joy guide. Your jester making people laugh. Yeah, a lot of people have really funny joy guides. I love that. Patty, hi friend. I miss you so much. You need to call me, girl. I need to catch up with you. You have so much going on. So many good things. Yeah. So my kids, a couple weeks ago at the dance competition, decided to hijack my phone, and they went and made a TikTok video in the bathroom at a restaurant, and like, why Miss Lorenda should be your psychic medium. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It's a really cute video. And so I have it pinned on my Instagram, and it's in my TikTok as well. So yeah, they're funny. They know I'm legit, man. But you know what? They're all comfortable with understanding that ghosts exist. Because I'm like, and yeah, they just hang out. They can come take class. So anyway, all right, I'm out of here. I'm hungry, and I kind of want some French fries. On Thursdays, it's the only days I ever think, but fries sound kind of good. Do you want fries? Patty, have you seen this? Girl, so Michelle in here sent me this. You know how like when people come into the live and they just drop their business and they ask questions? Gary, you're going to find this funny too if you do live readings. When people come in and they just drop their business, they drop their question. They don't say hi. They don't follow you. They just drop their question, right? And I would always say, but do I look like a drive-through medium? Do you want fries with that? How funny is this? And I also have a tumbler, and then she sent me French fries. So when people come in, and do that now, I just pick up my cup. And ask if they want fries with that. So yes, check out my classes. And also, again, I do private readings. I do one-on-one readings. You get a recording of them. It's super easy process. And I've got my mentorship. Thank you, Alicia. You're the best. I love you, girlfriend. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do life things and all the things. Oh, Athena, you're just coming in. I'm getting ready to sign off. Good to see you, friend. 7 minutes from Chesterfield. Yeah, why wouldn't you go? If you're 7 minutes from Chesterfield, you should go to all their events. Make sure, just check out, I think yes, you're 7 minutes from Chesterfield. The first Saturday of every month, they have a psychic fair at the Maxon. They're on Camp Chesterfield. So go check it out. It's like $15. You get 10-minute readings, and you can bounce from psychic to psychic. They're always having stuff. So go check out their website and see what they got going on. I'll be there for Spirit Fest in September. Yeah. All right, cool. I got to go. Love you all. Thanks for hanging out, friends. And I'm sure I'll see you next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat station. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.